Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and I talk about my life in Brisbane on this channel as well as my travels. So I hope you'd enjoyed the clips that I showed you from my stay at the airport, the Kuching International Airport, as well as the flight back to Miri on AirAsia. So my flight to Miri was on AK6192 and it was scheduled for 10 past 4 p.m. on the Thursday. So I'd arrived to the airport at around 2 and I had a coffee and was just having a look around the airport. There's not a lot of seating at Kuching International Airport, so after I left the Coffee Bean, I couldn't really find a seat and I wasn't really hungry, so I didn't want to go and have anything to eat at the food court. I just had lunch. And eventually I made my way to the gate and there were a lot of people and there was a bit of discrepancy in the information. So on one of the boards, it directed me to gate 1, but in actuality it was gate 6. So I confirmed with the staff. I said the board says 1 gate but actually it's another gate, so it's a bit confusing. And he said, oh, the board just hasn't been updated. I'm like, right, good job. but luckily I was early and the gates were not too far from each other. So I got to the gate, lots of people. Some people were sitting on the floor, some people were on the seats, people were standing around. They had their signs for which section to line up in which row. And it got closer and closer to takeoff time and there was no plane at our gate. There was a bit of heavy rain coming through and I thought, oh, it's not going to be fun to try and take off in this weather. So 4 o'clock rolled by, no plane was there. And so it dawned on me that perhaps this was one of the cancellations that AirAsia is famous for. And I overheard a couple of men talk to the staff and they popped into what looked like an airport lounge. So I decided to do the same. I went and asked the staff, is it delayed? And she said, yeah, most likely delayed and we don't know what time yet. So I said, well, I'm gonna go to this lounge. It was right next to the gate, so I thought I'd be able to hear if any announcements were made about where our flight was and what time we would actually be leaving Kuching. Popped into the lounge and I had my card out because I assumed it was a paid lounge, and the first thing the lady at the counter says, oh, we don't have that yet. And I'm like, huh? what don't you have yet? And then I realized perhaps it was one of those that they had planned to be complimentary for certain credit card holders, but that was not my expectation because I do have lounge key membership via one of my credit cards and there was none listed for Kuching Airport. So I paid for my entry, which worked out to be about 30-40 Australian dollars, and I sat there for a couple of hours. And the 2 gentlemen who I'd seen walk in before me, they were in a different section. So I thought, well, if I keep an eye on them, I'll be able to see when the flight actually is ready to leave. So the lounge was quite comfortable. There was food, there was coffee and tea, there were soft drinks. So I wasn't super hungry, but I had a bit since I'd already paid to sit in that lounge, and they also had Wi-Fi. And then I noticed some movement outside the lounge at the gate, and I said to the staff, I'm just gonna pop out and see what's happening to the flight, but my stuff is still in the lounge. And I asked the staff and they said, yeah, it's gonna be about 6 p.m, 6:20. And so okay. Went back to the lounge. I think my payment got me 2 hours and yeah, it was fine. And one thing about Kuching International Airport is that there's no toilet paper in the ladies' bathrooms, there's not even a place for the toilet roll. So it's not like they had run out of toilet paper. The bathrooms were just never designed to have toilet paper. So it may not be common for toilet paper to be used in some Asian countries, but if you're used to using toilet paper, I would say bring a roll for yourself in your carry-on, or some people I know carry little packets of tissues, and some places like in shopping malls in the past, I'm not sure about now, but in the past they used to sell little packets of tissues. And so at roughly around 6, we were called to board, and then there were apologies, and then I got an email and I heard the staff asking, oh, did you get a chance to eat, asking other passengers. And I had pre-booked a meal on this flight, and it was about an hour, so I wasn't too worried. I had messaged my brother who was waiting to pick me up from the airport in Miri that the flight had been delayed, and off we went. So again, rather a cramped seat. My window there was some texture on it, so I didn't have a clear view of the sky as we were flying, and we were flying around sunset time, so that was nice to have a bit of that color change in the sky. Food was okay. I got my drink, but as I mentioned in my previous video on the Miri to Kuching leg, I won't be pre-purchasing a meal for a flight of that length in the future. It would be nice if they offer, I must say I have not noticed on their, when we book, whether we can maybe pick peanuts for snacks. I haven't seen that, so I wouldn't mind a snack and a drink. That would be all right. And landed in Miri, and it was pretty smooth once we had left Kuching. And on the flight they said that it was due to a storm in Cebu where our plane was prior getting to Kuching. But my issue with this is that by 4 o'clock they would know that the flight was delayed. So I don't know why there was no announcement to let passengers know what was happening, because they would have known by that time that the plane was nowhere near Kuching. So I kind of feel like that's a little poor in terms of communicating with passengers. And I think there is also a time limit before the airline is obliged to compensate passengers in terms of food and drink. I'm not too bothered because that wasn't too long, and I could afford to sit in quite a comfortable place. But I do think that Kuching Airport could do with a bit more seating. It's not enough seating at that gate for the number of seats on that flight. And again, I had that sharp pain as we were descending, so that's not fun. I would rather not have a repeat of that. Let me know what your experiences are in the comments below, if you've flown AirAsia and if you've faced any delays. What communication did you hear from the airline, and do you think that it was sufficient? Let me know. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!